Welcome to another episode of real-life haunted stories. If you love chilling tales and spine-tingling horror stories, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a scare. New nightmares drop every week. Stay haunted. So, let's start our today's episode. Story 1. The Whispering Ward. This story is about a nurse discovers that a long-abandoned hospital ward isn't as empty as it seems. Mara had been working the night shift at St. Helena Hospital for years, but she had never ventured near the East Wing. It had been sealed off for decades after a fire gutted the upper floors, leaving it in ruins. Staff whispered that it was haunted, that patients had been left behind when the fire broke out. Their charred bodies never recovered. One night, Mara was called to check on an equipment malfunction near the wing's entrance. As she walked through the dim corridor, her radio crackled with static. "Hello, Mara?" the voice whispered. She froze. No one was supposed to be on this frequency. "Who is this?" she asked. A distorted giggle echoed back. Then, a noise, like beds creaking. The old ward's doors stood shut, but she noticed something. A single wheelchair positioned in front of them, as if someone had just been sitting there. She turned to leave, but the radio buzzed again. "Help me." The voice was faint, childlike. Against her better judgment, Mara pushed the doors open. Inside, the ward was frozen in time. Beds with rusted frames still held mattresses, their sheets rotting away. The air smelled of mildew and something fouler. A shape moved in the shadows. "Hello?" she called. A girl stood in the farthest bed, pale, hair matted. She wore a hospital gown, her arms covered in long, blackened scars. "You're not supposed to be here," the girl whispered. Mara took a step back. The girl pointed to the ceiling. Mara looked up. Dozens of faces were staring down at her, mangled, charred. Their mouths moved, whispering. Too many voices speaking at once. The girl's mouth split into an impossible grin. They never left. The lights flickered. The whispering grew deafening. Mara screamed as hands, cold, burnt, skeletal, grasped at her from the beds. The next morning, they found Mara curled in the fetal position outside the East Wing doors, her hair turned completely white. She never spoke again, but sometimes nurses hear her radio crackle, and her voice comes through. "Help me." Story 2, The Thing in the Well. A forgotten well holds a terrible secret that should never have been disturbed. Ethan and his younger sister, Lily, spent summers at their grandparents' farmhouse. The land was vast, stretching into empty fields and dense woods. But there was one place they were forbidden to go, the old well behind the barn. "You hear something inside, you walk away," their grandfather warned. One evening, while playing hide-and-seek, Lily ran toward the well. Ethan ran after her. "Lily, stop!" She stood at the edge, staring down. "I heard something," she said. Ethan listened. A wet gurgling sound drifted up. A voice followed. "Help, please. I fell." Ethan's stomach twisted. "Lily, we need to go." But she was already reaching for the rusted bucket, lowering it. The rope jerked violently. Lily gasped. "Someone's holding on." A hand emerged. Long fingers, too many joints. The skin, blackened and glistening. A second hand followed. Then a head, elongated, featureless except for a gaping mouthful of needle-like teeth. Ethan grabbed Lily and ran. Behind them, something wet slithered against the ground. They locked themselves inside the house, panting. Their grandfather found them moments later. "You heard it, didn't you?" he asked grimly. He handed Ethan a shotgun and salt. "We have to send it back." That night, they returned. The thing was halfway out of the well now, its body too long, its limbs bending wrong. It smiled. "Thank you for helping me climb." Before it could fully emerge, Ethan fired. The creature screamed, thrashing as the salt burned its flesh. With a final wail, it tumbled back into the darkness. The well was sealed the next morning, but sometimes at night, Ethan still hears it. "Help me. I fell." Story 3. The Reflection. A man discovers his mirror image has a mind of its own. Gabe had always been fascinated by the antique mirror in his new apartment. It was massive, its frame ornate and gilded. One night, he noticed something strange. His reflection wasn't quite right. When he raised his hand, the reflection hesitated before copying him. He laughed it off, until the next night, when the reflection smiled on its own. Gabe's heart pounded. He waved. His reflection stood still. Then it stepped forward. Gabe stumbled back. The mirror surface rippled like water as the reflection placed one foot into his world. "No," Gabe whispered. The reflection grinned. "Your turn." The lights flickered. The mirror shook violently. Gabe screamed as hands gripped his shoulders, yanking him forward. Darkness swallowed him whole. When the light steadied, the mirror Gabe stood in his place, stretching his neck, smiling. He turned to the mirror. The real Gabe pounded against the glass trapped inside. The reflection chuckled. "Much better." Then he walked away. Story 4. The Crawling Guest. A couple's new house has an uninvited resident. Liz and Mark moved into their dream home, an old Victorian house with charm, but something felt wrong. At night, Liz heard scratching from the attic. One night, she went to check. She shined her flashlight into the dark. Something was crawling on the ceiling. A figure, pale, emaciated, its limbs too long. It turned its head, completely upside down. Liz ran, but the attic door wouldn't close. She felt breath on her neck. "Can I stay?" it whispered. Liz slammed the door shut, but now, every night, she hears it crawling, waiting. Story 5. The Last Call. A late-night radio show receives a call from beyond the grave. DJ Mike hosted a late-night horror segment. One night a call came in. A woman sobbed. "He's here." "Who?" Mike asked. Silence. Then, breathing. "Don't turn around." Mike laughed nervously. "Nice one." The call cut. Then his studio lights flickered. A cold breath touched his ear. The show's recording played back later that night. There was an extra voice, whispering, "Behind you." Mike was never seen again, but his show still airs. And sometimes, listeners hear breathing. Which one scared you the most? Share in the comment box. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like to show your support, comment to share your thoughts or ask questions, and don't forget to subscribe to stay updated with our latest content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload.